So, sorry, we forgot to get the recording started. Welcome, friends. Okay, Dr. Christine is asking a really good question about spring tours. Yes, so doTERRA has decided to rebrand the spring tours. So they've shifted the name. Let me just click that I am answering that question. Okay, nope, wrong button. Okay, we're getting there. So yes, doTERRA, I think, has done a brilliant job of reimagining these spring tour events, because spring tour is what corporate should be calling it, but it's like, well, what's in it for the people who are invited, the people who are coming? So the whole branding is around becoming healthier, rethinking your health. So and it's a really cool partnership, the way corporate is partnering with the field, because they want the field to really own the events. And so they're having field leaders pick the venue, predict how many people will be coming. And then based on the different tiers, doTERRA will be offering, more and more stuff. So like 200 plus people events will have, I think, someone from the medical advisory board, and there'll be free oils for everybody who comes. And then there's giveaways and bonuses, I think, and some kind of enrollment bonus. So I actually have screenshots of this. But good morning, Tiff. How are you doing today?
I appreciate your Hawaii type shirt. I mean, we're just using all of our skills around visualization.
That's right. I don't care what's out there, but inside here, I am in Hawaii. So
yes. Good morning. So tell me, you guys are talking spring tours. Is that then?
Yeah. So I think it starts this month and it goes over the next 3 months. And so basically anybody can set up these events, and we have some set up for here in Alpine, but let me see if I can share just this one screen. This may or may not work, so bear with me. I've never shared. So basically there are 4 different tiers of like sizes of events, right? So tier 1 is minimum of 25. There's going to be a class in a box with samples. There's going to be doTERRA Sun samples. So that's one of the big pushes, is the new doTERRA Sun line, which I'm super excited about. Plenty of inventory this time. So they've promised us there will not be any stockouts. And then there's some cool marketing materials. Let's see what order we're in here. Tier 2 is 50, and they'll get class in the box sample, all the same stuff, plus a door oil, plus the host gets reimbursed for the venue that they booked. And then they get a business development team member to come out. For tier 3, that's 100 people. You get all that same stuff, plus more, plus an executive team member or a top leader. And then tier 4, like I was talking about, is when you get one of the doctors from corporate or a medical advisory board member. So it's going to be really cool. So I am happy to report that we have 4 already booked here for Alpine, Utah. So we'll be hosting some of those here in our event center. So I'll just go ahead and post those links if I can get technology to work for me. I'll post those in the chat. So super exciting. So
I love that. So people can basically create their own event from this. And tiers, like based on what they're creating. I love that.
Yeah, it's great. It's a really happy blend, because in the past corporate's done too much. And so the field's like, well, hang on, like that's not really what we wanted. And then sometimes the field has tried to do stuff on their own, but without corporate, it's kind of like, because we don't have the ability to do all the giveaways and the discounts and the promo codes and the, corporate leaders. So anyways, it's a really happy medium. So if you're in Utah, or if you want to come to town, hop into one of these events. It's going to be really fun.
I love it. I love a live gathering.
Always, right? So we have people from all over the world on the call with us today, Tiff. We have someone from India. We have folks all over America, and many of them are reporting spring-like weather in their backyard. So I'm playing the...
That might be a little sensitive right now, so.
I just want us to celebrate with them.
Yeah.
That there's hope.
There is hope.
There's always hope.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you're going to Mexico pretty soon.
We have what?
You're going to Mexico pretty soon, right?
Yes, not soon enough though.
Not soon enough.
It's like a month away. So, and I would love to see you in Nashville. Katie, what's the weather like out there? I love
80 degrees in Nashville, they said.
Oh boy. Oh, did you do a temperature check-in?
No, but some people reported. I think.
Okay. I was like, Andy, did you just torture yourself? Andy and I, just so we're clear, have been like on a daily meme sharing and things to like keep ourselves. But we literally, like here in my backyard in the last 48 hours, we are up to almost 2 feet of snow. And it's, you guys, it's April. It's been snowing for almost 7 months. And we know, here's the thing is we do know spring is coming, even if it's taking a little bit longer. And not that I really want to always tie everything to a life coaching lesson, but it is true that sometimes that dream, that goal, that rank, it comes a little bit longer, right? Mm-hmm. And the willingness of that. And then you just have to have various coping mechanisms. And more often than not, I'm like, hey, cool, I'm going to get on the bike. I'm going to wear a Hawaiian shirt. I'm going to put fruity oils in my diffuser. I'm going to read good books. I'm going to be positive. And then last night, all the wheels came off and I had popcorn and a box of chocolates for dinner. And I just felt like I should get that out right now. Like I need to confess, because some of you might think I'm always positive and always healthy, and it's just not true. And I get to be real. And I think we need to empower each other to be real, everyone. So anyway, we need the water. We're grateful. The thing, don't pray that we get spring overnight, because we have so much snow. Like literally we have record snowpack this year. Like we've surpassed any past records. Mm-hmm. And we need the water. We've been really a dry state the last few years. But if it warms up too fast, what we're going to be talking about real soon is flooding. Mm-hmm. And so if everyone would just say, hey, Lord, could we just have like a slow, but a clear indicator we're moving towards spring? But it's, it's like, hey, can we turn off the snow? Thanks. Turn that tap off. A light ease into some spring would be great. So there we go.
I love it.
But yes, all the wheels did come off last night, and I literally polished off a box of chocolates and ate popcorn for dinner.
So Tiffany texted me and she's like, hey, can you give me a pep talk, please, here, Mr. Goddard? And
I was like, would you tell me to go get on my bike or do something off my app? And his response. I'm
like, listen, I just came back from the movie theater where my family ate 2 giant tubs of popcorn, then went and had fried chicken. And so you're probably asking the wrong person for a pep talk. So
yeah, he's like, I'm about to start another movie.
Yeah, the wheels are officially off over here. If anybody else needs to, this is apparently the public.
And we're just telling each other, sometimes truly self-care, right? Often for me, like in dropping into a moment of clarity, when I'm discerning, like, is this nourishing for me? Is how I decide, is this self-care or am I numbing out? And sometimes I'm aware I'm numbing out and I'm going to pick it anyway, right? Like, it's okay. Sometimes you just need the silly TV show or movie or the treats, whatever. It's like, okay. And when you have, again, a body of self-trust, it's not like I'm truly thinking, hey, I'm off the rails. It's just like, oh man. But you know what? It's like, I almost want to say, hey, if I don't have to wear a sweater to another call until like November, it's like, let's give everyone $1,000 that's here on this call. I mean, that's like, hey, I'm ready to put my sweaters away. I'm ready for a little more spring. So there we have it.
Amen. Hey, can I just share your idea of this public confession?
Yeah.
Reminding me of some of my favorite lyrics, a song by U2.
I hope we're not recording this. Please, who sings this song?
U2. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're kind of a small little boutique band. Bono. U2.
Bono.
Yeah.
U2, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of small. No biggie.
Up and coming.
Yeah. So he says, if Coke is a mystery, Michael Jackson history, if beauty is truth and surgery the fountain of youth, what am I to do? Have I got the gifts to get me through the gates of that mansion? If OJ is more than a drink and a Big Mac bigger than you think, if perfume is an obsession and talk shows confession, what have we got to lose? Another push. Maybe we'll be through the gates of that mansion. And the whole song is tongue in cheek, right? It's he's poking fun at the Playboy Mansion and how it's playing off the gates of heaven and that mansion, the gates of. So, anyways, it's super cool, super funny, and I highly recommend everybody go take a listen because Bono is the man.
There you go. You guys, we've been well fed. Bono. Big Mac is bigger than you think. I think so.
But in all seriousness, the movie that we went to see yesterday is called His Only Son.
Mm.
And it's about the story of Abraham in the Bible. And if anybody had to wait for promises to be fulfilled, it's Father Abraham. The faith that he and his wife had to show after being given the greatest promises that you can imagine, right? Posterity as countless as the sands of the sea and the stars of the heavens. And they were old people with no children. And so I'm holding fast to Father Abraham this spring, knowing that
Peter's just this week.
Yeah, I think it's just a few days, like one of those short.
Just in Utah, or is it nationwide? If you know,
I haven't searched that up.
I know you're not on maybe the marketing team, so
yeah, it's His Only Son. If anyone wants to look it up,
I want to see that this week, so that will be on my radar. Another plug for a great treasure trove of spiritual nourishment is a movie that's out, I think, just this week called The Journey, and it's Andrea Bocelli, and it's about 90 minutes and different singers, and they take you through the cinematography of Italy and cathedrals and different songs, different musical Christian artists, variety featured there. And it was so beautiful and nourishing that Brett and I saw that Monday night. He bought us tickets a few weeks ago. I didn't know, but it's just in theaters, I think, this week, leading into, as it's Holy Week right now, right? And leading into Easter. And it was, you guys, it was so beautiful and so touching. I'm so grateful. So anyway, just as putting these things on your awareness, because they are time sensitive, of both of these different movies, that is good things, right? Do you remember though, like 3 years ago during the world being shut down, that he did like this Easter program, right? And he sang different beautiful hymnals on Easter Sunday from in Italy. I forget what's the name of that building he was in front of. Does anyone remember that? But it was so, my mom and I were talking about that the other night. It was like, because it's the same kind of season. And yeah, we were just had a beautiful, interesting little Easter. P.S. Can we talk about that? Is anyone ready, or how's everyone feeling about the Easter holiday coming up? What are the hot things going in the Easter basket this year? If you're celebrating Easter and Easter baskets, I am a big fan. Again, I don't want to be judged here, and I wouldn't normally eat this stuff, but I'm going to probably eat at least 4 peeps, right? Like, who eats a peep? Those things are pure sugar.
And quality sugar.
Oh, no.
What was the?
I need to eat 1 Cadbury egg, like the legit one that's like full of that like pure sugar, also not quality, but Cadbury mini eggs we know are out there, but some of those treats. The other things you can put in your Easter basket though are things like jewelry, you know, citrus bloom or essential oils. Green mandarin would be a great oil to put even in anyone's basket, right?
Sandy says peanut butter bunnies. I'm on that train.
I already polished a box of chocolates last night that were peanut butter chocolate balls.
Hey, what were the flavored peeps that Brett tried? Was that in Nashville?
Heavens. Yeah, Brett, earlier in the month of March, I was traveling
Dr. Pepper
for a speaking engagement, and Brett, like, you guys want to hear.
Speaking of the wheels coming off.
Recording this because I just don't want it out there in the world to have access to. It's like you get limited access if you're here live. But when I was out of town, he was like, hey, I'm going out with my guy friends one night. And that was great. I was like, have fun. And hey, we're doing this and that. And then I get a picture where he's got a box of peeps, and one's like basic, you know, classic yellow, and one is Dr. Pepper. Guys, Dr. Pepper peeps. And I was kind of like, what? Okay. And then this, and he's telling me, well, this and that. And we get back home. I get home and I was like, love, you kind of, whoa, went off the, you know, and okay. And we were kind of laughing and joking about it. And then he's like, and I bought a box of these, like this mega sized box of Reese's peanut butter puffs.
Oh, that's what I was.
And it was just, I told Andy and Natalie this, I was like, in front of Brett, and we laugh about it. But so he told me about all these other things he'd been up to, which were kind of like, hey, him just eating and living in like a bachelor for the weekend while I was gone. And none of it, I was like, oh, that whatever. And then he's like, but I also bought, he's like, but I bought real milk. And that's, you guys, no joke. Like my mind, I was like you drank dairy? And then it was like all these other things didn't matter, but it was the dairy where I was like, the dairy.
That's hilarious.
I'm a big fan of coconut milk, almond milk, nut-based milks, just because of all my life circumstances. I will eat some cheese and I like dairy, and I'll have a little butter, but dairy milk has been like, it has not been in my fridge for a really long time. No judgment. Some of you love dairy.
Right. That's right.
I don't know where we're going today. Can we maybe like get into some coaching?
Listen, Tiffany and I are just in full self-therapy mode. We're just trying to cope. So thank you for everyone's patience. Thank you for your
just trying to cope.
Diligence. So Dr. Christine did ask a question that I had started earlier.
A real one. Okay.
About the spring tour events.
Okay.
And I would love to mastermind this as a group. So she says the tier 4 event, I think that's closest to her, is 3 hours long, and it's the day before Mother's Day. So it's a little bit of a challenge getting people there, you know, that close to a special day. So she's asking for advice on how to position that, like what kind of verbiage to use to help people get the value and want to show up. And just how to position that. So I would love for anyone and everyone to chime in. If doTERRA's convention happens to fall on, I think there's a Hindu holiday that it almost always falls on. You know, how do you position that? How do you work through that? Because timing is always a struggle, right? There's never a perfect day when it comes to live events. So I love it. Stephanie puts in the chat, call it a Mother's Day retreat. Maybe some mothers can come together and have a special Mother's Day out before they spend Sunday with their own families. Love that. Turn it into a getaway. Great ideas. Tiff, do you have any thoughts on that? How to help people overcome blocks when it comes to timing? A lot of times doTERRA's convention is right as kids are going back to school. And so they don't want to miss that. So just kind of a great overarching question on how to position events when timing is tricky.
I think exactly what you just said is that the reality, yes, we take into consideration of, oh, there's a major holiday or, these types of things are happening. I think you're not wrong to take that into consideration. And I also know that when people, it's like, are motivated and desiring what you're creating enough, they will make room and time for it. Right. So it's one of those things that you go, oh, right. Exactly what Christina says. You have to be able to see the value in being there. And so this event's already planned the day before Mother's Day.
Yep, that's right.
But I think, again, it's the day before. It's not on Mother's Day. It's one thing if the event was on Mother's Day, for sure. Now, again, you might have some things coming up. It's like this weekend being a holiday weekend and Easter Sunday, but there are people I know having events and things on Saturday, even if though it's like maybe not the most ideal time. You may not get as many people because some people might be traveling or, a variety of things with the holiday, but it's the day before technically. And I perhaps, like Andy's saying, I would take that spin of like, hey, girls' night out or girls' day out kind of thing, and make it maybe have more of a pampering theme, right? Everyone that comes gets, create your own bath salt, for instance, right? Little pamper yourself. Mamas, come on out, or, whether you're a mama, an auntie, a friend, and, these types of things. I think that's one thing too, that if it's around a holiday, I'm a big fan when people are doing open houses around Thanksgiving and Christmas, but then they also have, again, like make and takes and variety of things that are holiday themed, and they're tying in the season to help support the event or the gathering. And so I think that it's one of those things that you can absolutely, right, like have pampering set up, or maybe a massage therapist or two on site with a chair massage, like, hey, come get pampered, get a massage, get this while you're gathering an event. Those are just some ideas of like how you can play into that, where it's it's more of an experience as well. That's like, oh yeah, grab a girlfriend and let's do this together. And we're going to get nurtured and loved on. And it feels like a fun thing that way. Also, when they're like, hey, honey, I'm going to this thing, and it's a, Mother's Day pampering thing, it's more of a, or that's part of it, at least. I think that makes a little bit easier.
For sure.
Yeah.
I love all the comments. So Dr. Christine, be sure to read all the thoughts everyone's chiming in with their own ideas on that, but love those ideas. Thank you for that question.
Yeah. And I just want to read Sandy's comment too, because I think it's worth capturing here on the recording and to balance out some of the other things captured here on the recording. But Sandy says this: I've held our events for the past several years the day before Mother's Day and remind them to bring their families and mom with them to this special event. And they have been a big success and share the value by coming out. So again, you make it a community, like exactly what she said. Bring your families, bring your daughters, bring your mamas, bring your friends and your girlfriends, and they make it more of a, and same thing if it was the day before Father's Day, right? Hey, grab your dad, grab your brothers, grab your sweethearts, those kinds of things. So Sandy, thank you for reinforcing that again, if there's never a perfect time to host an event, because it will never work for everyone, but you just pick it and say, this is when we're gathering, right? Like I'm having a gathering here in Utah on April 20th, coming up in a couple of weeks. And it's an intimate little thing that we're doing. And we've sold half the tickets already off of one post last night. I mean, again, it's really intimate, but again, there's not a perfect date because, oh, there's this happening, or some people are like, oh, I want to come do this again. I'll be out of town. But the people that are ready and available are coming, right?
Mhm.
And so it's just being aware that there's never a perfect time.
Yeah. On this topic, and if anybody has another question, go ahead and raise your hand if you're on Zoom, and we'll bring you in so you can ask your question live. This reminds me, we were in Orlando at Leadership, and we had, we had our live emotions event. It was amazing, such good energy. And then, we presented the option if people want to become an essential emotions coach, that certification is now available online. And I got approached by 3 different folks who all said the same thing. They're like, you know what? Do you have any live certifications where you can just come in person and just do it in person? And we're like, well, we're a global community and we really want this to be scalable and accessible. So that's why we did online. They're like, yeah, but I just want a live event. And so we actually decided to create a live in-person gathering where you can come and get certified in one day, or at least go through the training part. You still have to do your practice sessions, but it hit home for me, the absolute reality that humans need connection. Like we're hardwired for connection. And I don't care how good a Zoom event is, it will never be as good as a live event. And so I am like the teams that we have that are growing the fastest are 1,000% focused on live events. And in fact, we're launching some new builders next week. And it's all live. They're all flying into Utah, and we're doing this launch event. So I just want to shout from the rooftops, have live events. Like, I don't care how long your break was. If you want momentum, do it through live events. They are so powerful and they will never be replaced by anything else. So just a little shameless plug there for live gatherings.
No, 1,000%. What Andy just said, y'all, is so true. Can I actually have share screen capacity? Let's do a little business coaching training, and it's partly tying into what you're talking about, but it's going to open up some ways of how you're going to grow your business this season and this year. Can I do that? Okay. Let me see.
Right now, let's see if it works.
Okay, give me 1 sec. I'll just need a moment to pull it up. I know it's saying we're not sharing just yet.
I see your Zoom. You are sharing your screen, but it's like frozen. The Zoom window is like halfway minimized, but not quite all the way minimized.
Okay, 1 minute. Now I'm going to do it. Sometimes I have to do it twice. It's always when I'm doing this in other places. So let me see. Can you see this now?
Yep. Looks great now.
This is from my Success Academy workbook. And in session, it's 5, when we're talking about branding and marketing, I want you guys, feel free to take a picture of this. But at the top there, what we're focusing on is connection, and connection equals growth. Can you see that okay, Andy?
Yep, looks great.
Okay. So it says connection equals growth. And when you're thinking intentionally, strategically about growing your doTERRA business, the heartbeat of growing your business is through connection, right? We say this in other ways, that you're all in the people business, and whether you sell real estate, you sell essential oils, you sell beauty products, right? You're in furniture, you're in whatever, you're all in the people business. And connection is how you grow a business. You're expanding your net, right? You're saying, I want to grow my business. Therefore, I'm going to either need to do one of 2 key things. I'm going to need to expand my net and meet new people, go out to networking events, hobby groups, get to know more of my neighbors, maybe my church group. I'm going to get to know more people, and or I'm going to go deeper in the connections I already have. But what you're after is connection, right? And this is just basic thinking about how you're growing your business. But various ways to create connection, right? And various ways to get there. And the two main ones that you can see here at the bottom of this triangle, on the right-hand side, it says contacting or contact, right? And this is pretty traditional. This isn't new, but it's, hey, I'm going to make phone calls. I'm going to send texts. I'm going to send emails. I'm going to do one-on-one. We're going to go to lunch or grab tea. I'm nourishing a contact and I'm connecting with them, you know, on an individual basis or in person. Well, live events would fall under that. And it's one of the most palpable, powerful things that you can do to grow your business. So any of you thinking you're in growth mode, and whether those quote live events are you hosting or having 8 to 12 people come to your home for a light brunch, a make and take, a girls' night in, a guy's night out, whatever it might be, that's powerful too. You might have live events that have 3,000 people in the room, but you're in form of contact with them. And live and in person is so powerful. Yes, can we connect over technology? Of course you can. It's a form of contacting, right? Doing Zoom dates. The other side of that triangle you can see on the bottom left says content. These are channels like a podcast, your social media content, newsletters, a YouTube channel, education. When you put those two together, super powerful, where you're educating and inspiring and you're live in person and experiencing. Now you're really creating some powerful magic. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you because I love visuals, is thinking about, but the apex of that triangle and what you're after is connection. And there's various ways to do that, right? It's like, oh, okay, I can call someone, we can go to lunch, a one-on-one, I can do a gathering, things like that. But the more that people have a visceral experience, right, it's going to have more influence. It's just like if I'm trying to test drive a car online, you can get online and like make a model and see it and visualize it and get in the inside, or someone you watch that video is very different than my hands are on the wheel. The sunroof's popped open because it's a warmer moment and music is playing. And it's like, I'm having a whole experience versus, right? That's the power of being live, is you're activating more of a human's visceral experiences, but ultimately what you're after again is connection.
I love that so much. And I love the way you teach that too. There's so many ways to say that we're wired for connection, and that's, that nails it. So thank you so much, Tiff.
Yeah. Well, and I just know it's like, I'm craving that. There's a gentleman, I love his marketing training. A guy named Jeff Walker. He has a book called Launch, and I've been to his physical live event, literally got on an airplane and went to Arizona years ago. And then I've done his event virtual, and he's just sent out marketing again of his next one. And it's the same event called Product Launch Formula, PLF. And it's a great event, but I literally messaged back to his team 2 days ago. When this returns to live, count me there. I'll be back. Right? Like, I'm over the Zoom. Give me all those Zoom. Like, I love, like, we're doing this right now, but I was just literally giving his team this exact feedback, is like, I will pay you triple the amount to come be in a live event with you, because that's when all my senses are turned on and turned up. And so you guys host more things. People love that. And again, it might just be even the simpler things at your home. And it's not this huge business training with 300 people in the room. It might be that, but even just gathering, and maybe it's from book club and your oils are diffusing and some oils are out, to an intentional meta power class, which I think is so important right now. You guys, that's the right time to be sharing that. I mean, it's always the right time, but especially when you think about metabolic and metabolism and weight and bodies and people, at least peaking in the thoughts are, hey, summer, how I want to feel. and I want some support with that, is it's a great time to host a Meta Power class.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I think you've heard us say this enough, but I know not everyone, of course, it's like you'll never get everyone online. You'll never get everyone in person, but you'll go further faster when you're in person.
Amen. Bring back the live.
Bring back the live.
Awesome. Who else can we serve and support today? Go ahead and raise your hand or type your questions in the chat or comments.
When is, by the way, your next emotions coach training?
So the in-person ones are at essentialemotions.com/events. So I'll post that link here. I think there's one next Friday. I think on the website it says Monday, but don't sign up for that one because we had a scheduling conflict. So it'll be next Friday. And then I'm not sure about the next one, but
Okay.
We've got it booked out for like 2 or 3 months. So if you live in person, come play. It's going to be fun.
So quick question. I'm just curious, since we're talking live event, and I know this is a ways off and you may not know for sure, but how many of you are planning to come to convention live in September? Would you say yes in the chat box, just so I'm just curious to a pulse, or if you're on Facebook Live, would you also say yes there? I'm just curious how many of you are planning to come out to that.
I think we've got the diehards here.
You got lots of yeses. But I would start, again, for yourself as you're planning on that, but also start planting that seed with team members as well. And hey, we're going to come out to this. But I'm just wondering, it's been a few years because obviously how the world shut down. I know you guys will do an essential emotions event then, correct?
Yep.
And do you have your date on that already?
We usually do it the day before. So
when is convention this year, guys? What's the dates? It's not right in front of me.
Is it September 14th to 17th? Or was that last year?
I think that's right. Does anyone have that in front of them? Like, when's the actual specific dates?
Yeah, 13 through, no, yeah, 14 through 16th.
I think that's right. So you'll probably be on the 13th. What if I would obviously get this figured out really soon. So if you're booking airfare or want to make those changes, how many of you would be interested in doing a business training, a sales training? Of course, we're going to nurture your soul and your spirit because I can't do them separately, but a little bit of how many of you would be interested to come in, maybe say you're here by the 12th, and on the 12th, I would do an event, and maybe it's more intimate, like a cabin type situation up in Park City versus, and it may be a hotel ballroom that's bigger. We've done lots of those over the years, but where we'd get in a space and we could really do some beautiful, like what I was just modeling for you and showing you a snippet out of my full coaching course. We do some modules together and some clarity, deep work on strategy.
I'm seeing a lot of yeses.
Okay, I'm just taking a pulse to that, right? And I know there's usually several other types of trainings and things happening, but maybe where it's far enough out in advance, we could make some plans. And that for those of you that it does speak to, that you're saying, I want to go deeper at a fraction of the cost of hiring you privately, right? We get in a space, we have some yummy snacks, because of course I don't do anything without snacks. Right. But anyway, okay, I'll be marinating on that and even look into some space on it. So, but yeah, potentially think about September 12th, because that way, because I'd want Andy and Natalie to be there and they can, you know, we've done so many of those together, and then I could be at their event. So we support each other because all of that content's valuable.
Totally.
So anyway, just something to be thinking about.
Great stuff.
Hey.
Okay, I saw a question come through from Julie. She says, how do you discern when God is closing a door or resistance from the enemy is coming up when planning live events? So how many of us have been there before, right? Tiffany, you shared a great story last week on our the divine compensation call about resistance coming up with live events.
Yeah.
So how do you know when it's good old-fashioned resistance? And how do you know when it's a sign, if you will?
Oh, this is deep. And I love that we're asking this. Who's asking this question?
Julie, I believe.
Julie, is that you?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
Thank you for asking this. Gosh, isn't this good, you guys? So all of you, would you contribute this to the chat box? Because overall discernment. And for me, is learning how to hear and tune into, again, sometimes you might call that the Holy Spirit. Some might call it intuition. To me, they get married up. But however you presence to that requires, again, it's like, am I nourishing my roots in my spiritual self-care, right? We look at self-care from the physical, the mental, emotional, the spiritual. And so how do you nourish your spirit? Let's put that in the chat box and in comments. How do you nourish your spirit? What's nourishment? And often for me, nourishment comes with quiet. I cut out the noise. And whether that's in prayer and meditation, in scripture reading and journaling, or I'm on a trail, or I'm in a yoga class, but I've cut out the noise, right? What nourishes you? This is really good for you to know this for yourself. Like, how do you drop in? Because sometimes I've been on a trail and I've had a total clear download, or I've been on a massage table, right? Where again, usually quiet is involved. Sometimes you can be doing the dishes and you're just really, what you're up to. And I think it's, again, that knowing, that clarity, that knowing of, and in prayer, sometimes I'll ask in prayer, what's the next right step? But if God gives me a yes, I'm going to host this event. Is this the right choice for me? I'm going to move forward with this. And I felt at one time a witness or a peace or whatnot, then I lean on that even when the resistance gets stirred up. Now, sometimes I feel like, you've been led on a path and then the course can change. But I'd be very mindful about changing a path that you already felt good about at one time, or you felt like you had a witness to, or a piece to, right? And it's like, you have those things. And like Andy's talking about that event was, maybe it scared me out of doing big events. But that year specifically, I shared this last week about some financial things, but called those resources in with a Bible verse over and over, but really was activating the miracle. Remember, you can have a miracle or you can have a grievance, but you can't have miracle and grievance coming out of your mouth at the same time. And so that's where it's like, I'm going to choose gratitude. I'm going to choose a miracle and that type of thing. Well, that event kicked off on a Thursday night, and like a Tuesday morning of that week, I woke up and started getting a sore throat. Now, this was an event I worked on for like 6 months, right? And this event to me was like half my annual revenue. We would close a lot of business on site at this event. And it was a big deal. So all I'm saying is I remember coming into that week and the sore throat, and I started all my oils, all my protocol, juices. I was definitely not having sugar and treats. We got real clean with eating this and that, and kicked off Thursday night. And Friday morning, I woke up and had very little voice. Thankfully, I had been already prepared, had another trainer. We were both trained by Jack Canfield, that he was able to step in and do some segments for me. But I had a blessing from a very dear friend right before we went on, who was on site, a dear friend named Chad Hymas. Some of you know Chad.
Such a
And this blessing, and again, I respect, not everyone plugs into that, but in this blessing, what he spoke over my life, and of course, what do you think I hope he's going to say?
You're gonna be healed.
You're gonna be healed. Because this event, it's like I'm losing my literal instrument, my voice. And what gets spoken over my life and over my body is not healing, but says basically to care for your spirit and keep your spirit in a really good place. And he said, let me remind you that these people do not come to hear your voice. They come to feel your spirit. One of the most sacred experiences of my life. And I feel like that whole thing was to teach me that one lesson. And so I share that from the place and perspective where I surrendered and I knew I couldn't control what was going to happen with my body. I could influence it, rest and hydration and good supplements. And I was taking so much On Guard and oils and support. And I had to surrender, but I knew I could keep my spirit in a really good place. Does that make sense, loves? Is you can always, and so, but you are, and then, and I shared it vulnerably with the audience. Here's where I'm at, invited prayer. And I slept really well that night, woke up and was feeling much better. But it was one of those spiritual journeys where when you're gathering people to do good, and there will be light in the room and there will be breakthrough in the room, that's spiritual evolution. And you will, whether you want to say an adversary, which it's like, oh, I see what, okay. Or you call it resistance, but there's always opposition for growth. It's the same way it's like a seed comes through the soil. It has to come into new life. Every time when I'm walking, notice this, anytime you're walking on a sidewalk and you notice grass or even what we might call a weed growing through that concrete, I want you to now smile at that every time you see it, rather than these weeds and it's like, look at how much life force is literally pushing through concrete that shouldn't be physically possible. But that life force is so strong, is like, even though my circumstances is hard or challenging, there's life force coming through, and life and light win. And so, Julie, if you felt clear and strong about hosting this event, now sometimes we have to release attachment. Your mind, you're like, I want 7,000 people in the room, and you've got 70. And you're like, I have to adjust expectations sometimes, but you're like, what's your purpose of doing the event? And when you guys are purpose driven, you're powerful. Mm-hmm. And when purpose is leading your event, and that purpose is to bless, to break through, to up level, to heal, to expand someone, you are about the work of the light. And I believe, ask God, ask your angels for help and support, but the resistance doesn't mean we stop. Yeah. The resistance means you're up to good work in the world. Mm-hmm. And again, when you come home to purpose and you sometimes again release expectation, hey, I wanted this many and I got is we focus on, well, I'm going to change those 70 or 7 people's lives. I'm going to bring them their best. I'm going to support them. And you ask for spiritual guidance. It's been very rare that I've ever canceled an event. Couldn't it happen? Yes. Has stuff happened? Yes. Right? Like we had an event scheduled for April of 2020. Hotel, the whole, we canceled that because the world and the unique dynamics happening. And the government was like, you can't host large groups. Mm-hmm. That's different, right? Than, oh, I'm feeling scared. I'm feeling nervous. But you guys, when you're purpose driven, this is what we're about in this whole community, whether you're Jewish, whether you're Buddhist, whether you're Christian, whether you're religious or spiritual or whatever your language is, if you're in this community, you're about the light. And even though we might call it different things and we might get there in different ways and traveling the different paths, what we have in common is we ourselves are committed to being healthier, happier, and more light-filled, aren't we? That's what I think of this community. And therefore, we're sharing that light with others. But of course, when you're up to good, you're going to have resistance. But resistance to me is reframed where I'm like, oh, it's a witness to being aligned to doing it and moving forward versus a roadblock. And again, when you create intuition, like, God, what's my next right step? The end of last year, first of this year, I was on a trip with a Child's Hope. Our girl Angela is here. Child's Hope Foundation. You've heard Andy and I talk about it. Andy and his family have taken trips. This is a phenomenal organization to support. childshopeffoundation.org. Check them out. But we were literally traveling to Mexico, and I lost my satchel that had my passport, my ID, and all 5 of my credit cards. Everything, lost it. And I was like, this is before we crossed the border. We'd flown from Salt Lake to San Diego. So I knew going in, it was like, and I stood in a bathroom stall in the San Diego airport. And I just asked, because I felt so good about coming on the trip and going. And here I had this major roadblock and the fear of like, will I be able to get back in the United States without any ID? And I don't recommend that. I would say you should have ID on you. That's a good idea. But I'm standing in this bathroom stall praying to God in San Diego at the airport. And I'm like, God, can I move forward? Can I take this next right step to go to Mexico? Whether I find my purse, don't find my purse, I don't know. I have to surrender. And I had this clear, peaceful feeling for me. And again, you all get to pray in that. And it was like, yeah, you can move forward. And so I did. We went to Mexico, led a group of volunteers, started our New Year's that way, and obviously made it back home and got that figured out. But sometimes, again, when you're in the fire, I get it. The fire is not comfortable. You pray, my next right step. Do I move this forward? Yeah. I think you just need to be aware, though, that some of you feel resistance and you immediately get paralyzed and you freeze and you shut down. And your association to that is stop, wait, versus, oh, yeah, resistance comes when you're on the path of growth and goodness. It always does.
So true. So powerful. That's a mic drop right there. So many of you have been asking, is this call recorded? Yes, it is. You can go to sharesuccess.com/call, and you can access all the recordings. They're available as a podcast, or you can grab them on the Facebook page. We have one last question from Sandy. So Sandy, you're on live. Welcome.
Welcome. What I want to add to the others is here's some examples of holding things in person. I just held 8 in a row weekends. Last weekend, we had 24 inches of snow that came during the night. I had to decide, do I pull the plug or do I roll with it? And I had about 35 vendors. And in the Facebook thing, it said about 1,300 interested. So do I pull it or do I run? I took a step back. I prayed. I knew what we could do to help. It was a holistic fair. What we could do to help the public. I decided to open up an hour later. We had 280 people. It was unbelievable. I say, when in doubt, connect and run. The week before, during the day, we had 20 inches in Green Bay here in Wisconsin, and I had 250. They came with the men in the 4-wheel drive trucks, and they made it happen. I say, if you share the value, and my presentation that day was healing emotions with essential oils. That was my topic. And you share the value and your belief in your heart, they will come. I personally, Dr. Christine's, I look at Mother's Day as an over-the-top opportunity to strengthen, use that as a strength, to say, I want to bring my sisters and my mother, those of you that are going to come together, let's do breakfast before or lunch, and let's attend this or dinner or whatever it is around whatever date time her event is, and make that day, capitalize on it for bringing even more people to the events. I just think when there's value and you believe and God gives you the strength to do it, it will be a big show. So,
amen.
People want to touch you, want to feel you, want to thank you, want to embrace you. It was so powerful those 2 days when we had, I don't want to say the evil against us, but we had blizzard weather against us. People were more thankful during those times than they were on a day of good weather, because we were there for them.
I love that. People feel that, right? They see it.
Right. Absolutely.
Yep. Thank you so much for sharing that,
Yeah.
Sandy.
Yeah. It's just again, we're just witnessing and the power of gathering. And I have that in my own, my home office, and over here is just this, little framed word that says gather, is the power of gathering, different ways to do that. And we need that. But what a great call. I mean, it turned out like we were off the rails, right? Wheels had come off, and then we've come powerfully other direction of like reminders of truth and of light. And I am just so grateful for that and for this community, because you are up to goodness in the world, you guys, you really are. And I just invite you, one of the things that's been so clear for me, and something I've recently printed off and it's on my bathroom mirror, is just reminding me of the prayer we've talked about before, or the intention of use me, God, use me, and to be the vessel and the willingness to do so. And again, whether that's talking one-to-one with someone, or like, was being modeled as hosting these events and various things, how powerful that is. So anyway, we just love and adore you guys. Welcome to April, our first official week of April. Welcome to a brand new month, and we're here to serve and support you. And you guys have a great rest of your day and week, and we'll see you guys next Wednesday.
And thank you for being mine and Tiffany's therapist today.
Yes, thank you for
grateful.
walking us through and letting us be human too, you guys, because we are, right? We're human too, but together we link arms and we're like, hey, okay, it's okay to eat chocolate and popcorn for dinner occasionally. And we're coming back to our support. So anyway, thank you guys. Have a great week.
Send you lots of love. Bye-bye.